The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
You're not a Jedi yet.
I'm a Jedi, like my father before me.
Give yourself to the dark side. I am your father.
And how's it going, everyone? Jonathan here with Boston Collectors, and it's been a hot minute. We're slowly working our way back into creating content for you all, so bear with us as we do. For more details about why we were away, feel free to check the pinned comment down below. Today's unboxing and review is all about Hot Toys' Bespin Luke Skywalker, as seen in The Empire Strikes Back. This figure wasn't on my list of pre-orders originally. In fact, it was a piece I kept coming back to look at and admire. While I prefer characters from the prequel era of Star Wars, there are moments with original trilogy characters that I do enjoy. As iconic as this moment is in pop culture, that isn't why I picked it up. This was a defining moment for Luke, and not only that, the prototype looked phenomenal. It's got a few downsides, but we'll discuss them later on. For now, if you're enjoying what you see so far, like this video and subscribe for future content. We have a pile of figures lined up for review, so let's go ahead and begin with this one. Out of the box, Luke isn't pre-equipped with his belt and holster. It could have been a way to make the unboxing experience a little more interactive by being hands-on with applying it, especially since you can't have him go without it. Similar to what was seen on the Snowspeeder Luke release previously, everything's here, including the ring to hold the harpoon gun and the hook for Luke's lightsaber, to name a few. I like the idea of making it a little bit more interactive, but I don't think I would have noticed it otherwise. C-gripping hands are also pre-installed on the figure out of the box. The molding isn't new. In fact, I was a little concerned because it's a telltale sign the other hands might be a little different. Similar to Snowspeeder Luke, the grip on both hands aren't the same. You can still have him hold the lightsaber in his left hand, just not too close to the handle. Regardless, you can still sell the idea of this being held in his hand, but it was meant for the harpoon gun, unlike the C-gripping hands we received with the Mandalorian Luke. Those were actually meant for lightsaber use. As usual, Hot Toys included the ignited saber effect, which can be used on both the singular lightsaber hilt and the lightsaber arm. Not to mention the dynamic saber effect as well. Next, we have one right trigger hand for Luke's DL-44 blaster pistol. Speaking of his blaster, it's sporting a different look apart from the Snowspeeder pilot variant. Everything that we know about Luke's blaster is the same, but the darker tones to the paint application is what makes it different. If you aren't looking to use it in your pose, simply holster it at his side. Moving on, we have what I believe Hot Toys is trying to consider a neutral right multi-use gesture. While I understand the idea, I don't like not having relaxed hands. The same goes for the left gesture. It feels multi-use and I like it, but not as a neutral hand. We also have one left fist included. And lastly, as far as hands go, we have one left force gesture. Again, I hate to beat a dead horse, so to speak, but I like having options. Unfortunate for us, we don't have a USB lightsaber yet, but installing the lightsaber arm wasn't really difficult here. The process is the same as usual, but considering the base, we'll touch on that later. I like the way the hilt rests in his hand with the thumb slightly raised over the switch. It's got a natural look to it that I would miss if Hot Toys planned to phase them out. Over time, it seemed as if Hot Toys nailed making the lightsaber brighter than it used to be. It's possible they've started tinkering with it for the USB sabers coming soon, but that's purely speculation. While there isn't more of a burning effect to it here, we'll have to wait for the first iteration of the USB sabers to come. For now, believe it or not, I'm sticking with the light-up arm on Luke in the display. Under more lighting though, it loses the effect because of it not being bright enough, especially against a brighter background. Again, I like the hold of it and the cautious but ready thumb above the switch, so I'm sticking with it. Moving on to the first base, we have a hexagonal design featuring a lenticular effect over the Dagobah foliage. The rest of the base is bland, but that isn't all. Hot Toys included a 3D diorama piece featuring foliage and water to bring the base to life. While I typically complain about not having a name on the base, I can't say it's 100% needed. But it still would have been nice to have. For me, I'm okay without it. As for the stand, Luke was given a waist clamp, but it doesn't need to be used for his waist. Mine was a bit of a fight, but I got there eventually. For me, I kept the clamp in its lowest state and simply slotted his leg through it. It gets the job done a lot better this way versus around the waist and possibly harming the material on the figure. We aren't done with the Dagobah base just yet. Included with the DX25, we have Luke Skywalker's head and Vader's helmet. If we're going to argue accuracy, there is room for that here. But Hot Toys isn't exactly going to overdo it, so it works. There is weathering found around the entirety of the design, and I feel they nailed what was seen on screen. This isn't exactly a piece I plan to use in the display, but it is cool to have. And for curious minds, no, the helmet doesn't come apart to reveal the portrait. Although I do wonder if we paid for this one versus another portrait to use on the figure. Anyway, the next base is awesome. It features a tinfoil sticker nameplate, and the overall design is truly amazing to see in hand. The graded design replicating the carbon freezing chamber does light up, and it happens through a USB-C connection near the back of the base. And on the opposite side in the back, we have the on and off switch. This release only came with one stand, and it's universal between both bases. Completing the diorama, we have the extra mechanical structures found along the sides. They appear to aid in the process of carbon freezing or the elevator to the main platform. At the base of this piece, we can find the USB-C port, the on and off switch, and the extensible USB-C plug to attach to the main base. Hot Toys didn't include a cord for this set, so you'll have to buy that and a 5-volt charger yourself. Now that we're powering the attachment, that will give power to the main base through the extended port. When both the main base and the diorama connection are turned on, the entire base comes to life. The secondary piece can be lit on its own when turning off the main base. However, when turning off the secondary piece, it'll deactivate both pieces entirely. And as mentioned earlier, you can power the base on its own without the secondary piece. Simply plug it in directly to the cord. And now that it's all set, power on the base and it comes to life. There's a nice brightness to it when it's all set up, and the light can reach just at his waist depending on the pose. And now that we're done, find a pose and you're all set. Believe it or not, the portrait is ever so slightly different between Bespin Luke and the Mandalorian Luke release. We'll discuss that in a moment though. For now, the hair is painted in the same golden brown sheen, and a black subtle application at the nape of his neck. With the sweatier hair pre-installed on him out of the box, this is how I plan to keep him. The one change between both the Mando Luke and this release is the paint application. With Bespin Luke, he appears slightly flushed, which does happen when we exert ourselves. Included with this release, we have a swap-out hairpiece for his iconic hairstyle, which also hide the Sir system. I'm glad to see this was included in having the option to swap out hairpieces between previous releases of Luke. But for me, it won't see the light of day. But it looks great though. I don't mind the reuse of the portrait, because if it isn't broke, don't fix it. The expression is simple. I'm just glad we don't have his mouth hanging open in that deer caught in headlights look with Snowspeeder Luke. As mentioned earlier, if I had to choose between another portrait design versus the Vader Luke helmet, I'd have swapped out for the portrait instead. I don't know, perhaps more of a stern frown or a teeth-gritting expression that would help aid in posing. But for what we have, the portrait is a 10 out of 10 for me. There's no surprise about the use of faux leather in Hot Toys. It exists here as well. If you happen to live in harsh climates, you'll want to be careful overexerting poses for his boots. Not to mention, I believe the straps are also glued down. In terms of articulation, it checks all of the boxes needed to get a great pose out of your figure. I did notice though the thigh swivel stops about a quarter of the way before it stops moving. It's fine for me, but something to keep in mind. Again, the word of the day is faux leather. Not really great for the environment, but can also peel due to harsh environments. Take caution here. I will say I would have been okay with more weathering on his clothing though. It's very slight, and it's easy to look over if you aren't looking for it. But there is a slight hint of weathering. Just not enough. Apart from that, I do feel the upper body of the figure is a bit too bulky. Luke didn't exactly fill out his shirt, but it doesn't take away from the beauty of the piece for me. To summarize my thoughts, this is a decent release. However, it doesn't check all of the boxes for what I feel a standard release should be though. I believe in having pairs of hands, and I'm also okay with having one used for multiple gestures, but not like this. Having the supposed relaxed hands, for example, as multi-gestures just doesn't do it for me, but they are nice gestures. When lifting the arms on Luke for posing, the joints are rather unsightly. I may end up using the thermal shirt covers from Snowspeeder Luke to try and hide that myself. We'll see. Other than that, everything else is decent. The tailoring's great, but the bodysuit is a bit too much in the midsection. The swap-out hairpiece is another great addition, especially in unison with the Dagobah base design. Not to mention the carbon Friesen base is definitely a 10 out of 10. Would have loved to have seen a USB Saber plug into it for power though. With all of that in mind, it did make it difficult to rate this piece. But for me, I'll have to give it a firm 7 out of 10. It did fall a little flat in some areas for me, but I felt wowed in others. By the way, does hand selection matter to you all by chance? Or is that just me? Let us know down below. Until then, hopefully you all enjoyed today's upload. Do us a favor by liking this video and subscribing for future content. This is Jonathan with Boston Collectors, and we'll catch you next time.